Hi guys, welcome to the world's greatest podcast, Being the Press. Do not adjust your sets. We're both together. Look, it's real.
It's not a green screen.
Yeah, it's real. So we've been going for I think around 2 years now, and this is the first time we've actually faced together, just simply because of COVID and us living about 60 miles away from each other as well. With it being International Week, we decided to go away.
Is that what we did?
We decided to go away. We thought it'd be perfect. We'll have our first ever international podcast. We're both away, we're both together, and here we are. For the new viewers and listeners, we normally only talk about football, so if this is your kind of thing, please do that thing, just like, subscribe, make us rich and famous. But we are currently here in Lanzarote. Obviously, some disappointing news, and that's putting it nicely for me personally, obviously, with Italy getting knocked out of the World Cup, and that was literally the day just before we flew out. So we thought we'd talk about that, and then we'll just see where the conversation goes. So we haven't got anything in particular, but we thought with it being a national week, we'll have a chat about internationals and obviously Italy getting knocked out. So Chris, you're right. This is the first time we've done it face to face, isn't it?
Yeah, it's good. I've just woke up from a 10-minute nap because apparently our director here says that we've got to do a podcast. I'm just going to show you the context, the backdrop of where we are at the moment. So we've got a nice little setup here. So we thought we'd talk about Ty's dear old Italy. Do you want to sort out technical problem? Yeah, dear old Italy, out of the World Cup for the second time in a row. And actually, they've actually won the Euros in between. So we also wanted to talk about the context of actually, would you rather win a tournament and then miss out on a couple? As an England fan, obviously we haven't won anything in forever. And I personally, I think I would rather win a competition and then, the fact that we don't qualify for the next one, I'm not really too bothered about.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to talk about Italy. I mean, I've seen obviously when they get knocked out, you get all sorts of memes and stats popping up, and the people, Italy won't have played a knockout game for 20 years at least. That's providing they obviously qualify for 2026 because they won it in 2006 and then 2010 and 12. I think it was just group stages, and then obviously 16 and this one, they've not qualified. I think there needs to be some sort of realisation, like you've got to take into consideration that if you've got to look at it in its individual basis. So European Championship, they're obviously not gone from a great team to a shit team, and I've followed the qualifying obviously because I'm an Italy fan, but that game was just summed up the whole qualifying campaign. Dominated team, created so many chances and just missed. I mean, if we can Jorginho's come up and apologised for. He missed two last 5-minute penalties against Switzerland, which if we scored either of them, we're through. So a lot of things seem to have gone against us. I mean, obviously Federico Chiesa is one of the best in the world and probably our best forward. He was injured as well, which just really hurt us. I think they had like 30 shots against 4, and they've scored. I mean, the goal, I'd imagine everyone's seen it. It's just a long ball knock on 92nd minute, and he's pinged it in the bottom corner from about 25 yards. And they could have still scored after that as well, but João Pedro couldn't get it in. So the whole thing, obviously I was massively disappointed because I was just literally before we were flying away. But that obviously brings us to the next bit of, we've obviously won the European Championships last year. Now we're going to go. Not going to go to the following World Cup. Now, I'll put it to you as an England fan. I mean, we've spoke about it obviously on off camera as well. Would you rather win a tournament and then not qualify for the tournament, or would you rather just be at the tournament, maybe get to the latter stages of the tournament and get knocked out but not really win it?
Yeah, I've thought about it, and the easy answer was that we actually just win a tournament. I would rather us just win a tournament and not qualify for a couple. But to not go to a tournament, it's horrific. I think the last time we failed to qualify for a competition in England was it 94?
Might well have been, yeah,
94, and that
might be 2008 as well, I think. But 94. There's not been many. You're right.
Yeah. So just the thought of England not being there, it's always horrific when the best teams are not there. You're thinking even Cristiano Ronaldo might not have made it if obviously Italy. Obviously, this was going to be Cristiano Ronaldo's last World Cup if I thought about Italy playing against Portugal in the playoff game. but in reality it looks like he's going to get to go to another World Cup. So you always want the best teams in the World Cup, and I'm gutted that Italy's not there. And so for me, I still would rather definitely win one, because, you know, as a country, we haven't won one in our lifetime and don't look likely that we're ever going to do that.
I mean, if you're asking me now, I'd still rather be in the position we are. We've won the European Championships and we didn't make it. I think it would have been a struggle anyway, just because it's Qatar, it's new. It doesn't feel like a proper World Cup because it's in winter, it's in Qatar. There's a load of, you know, stuff going on in the background as well. And I don't know. I mean, obviously, maybe it's sour grapes, maybe it's not. But I just thinking, you know, for me, I think, because I was at the European Championships semi-finals and the finals, and they were like two of the greatest moments in my life. And I think I'd happily have those. And for us not to go to the Qatar World Cup, because then, you know, we've obviously got the Euros in 2024 as well. So tournaments do come around quick. I mean, if we look at our history in winning tournaments, you know what I mean, we're a regular winner of major championships, and that's sort of, you know, if we work it out, maybe every 10 or 15 years we're winning a tournament.
But that's why it's almost inexcusable for the Italian team not to be there. You know what I mean? Like,
I think circumstances dictate everything. Just sort of like, I mean, luck plays a part in sport and everything, but I think just certain things just didn't go away. I mean, you don't expect Jorginho to miss 2 penalties against Switzerland, and they're both, you know, and you'd expect him to, obviously we were there when he scored against Spain, took us, so he missed in the final, but, you know, the big moments and then creating that many chances. I mean, North Macedonia, they're like, I mean, come on, fuck me. It's like, you know, you're just thinking, how did that happen? But it did, you know, and it's just, you know, and it's an absolute cliche, but it is just football, isn't it?
Yeah. But the qualifying group you were in, you had
Switzerland, wasn't it?
Switzerland and who else?
I think it was just Switzerland. Obviously went through. We were second, so it was Bulgaria were there as well. I think they were one of the other ones. I think even Lithuania. There were some poor games where we threw games, but the games against Switzerland, we basically needed to win one of them. We've drawn one all. Exactly smash and grab for them as well. Do you know what I mean? So it's just.
Do you anticipate Mancini keeping his job? Like, obviously,
I think
he's won.
I mean, it's a fair question. He's just got that much credit in the bank. I mean, he did release a post on Instagram to say, you know, from the highs of June last year to here we are. You know what I mean? But life and football is about dealing with the lows as well. And it was a sensible, you know, post from him. It was like, you know, we've got to take some stock and take our time, bit of clarity, because as always, whenever you make decisions relying heavily on emotion, it always goes tits up.
Yeah.
So the fact you're taking a step back, take a few days out, do you know what I mean, a few weeks, and then make it, because nothing's going to happen. They're still going to have to qualify for the next European Championships, and then we look again. Well, obviously that as the holders, they automatically qualify, don't they?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, at least we're going to qualify for the next one, aren't we now? But no, I think, I mean, if you go, I just think Italy at the moment. I mean, if we're looking at, we're missing an international striker. Ciro Immobile is not an international striker. I mean, we had Chiesa was playing through the middle, and he's not really a striker, but he's brilliant. The issue with Italy at the moment is the need to have. I mean, if we had Harry Kane, we'd piss that group. Do you know what I mean? We'd beat North Macedonia. If we had a proper number 9, Immobile is just like, I mean, he's decision making. He gets in the box and he just doesn't. I mean, he scores goals for Lazio, obviously, and there's a step up from, you know, league football to, you know, good top elite level to international football, and he just doesn't click. He doesn't seem to. Yeah, I mean, even in the Euros, I was never convinced by him, and he was captain, but he still got hooked after 65 minutes, which, you know, obviously Mancini can see that as well. So I think, you know, the way Spinazzola's been out for a while now. Emerson did fine playing there. I think the midfield's brilliant. Jorginho, Verratti, Barella. I thought Barella was poor against Macedonia, and Insigne wasn't great, but Berardi was good. Raspadori's coming through. I mean, we can't. I mean, then obviously Chiellini and Bonucci are probably going to retire now. So you've got to. I mean, I think Chiellini is anyway. But you've got to sort of think. What we did in June was amazing and brilliant, but there was quite a few players that were on the last legs. So Chiellini, and I don't know, but that's a big part. You two said, well, Bastoni coming through is a top centre half by the place for Inter, and he's going to be, you know, he'll be an international for years to come. So yeah, I just think, you know, we're moving on now, and you know, it's a knockback. I think I'm on holiday, which probably helps ease the pain a bit as well. And you can probably see me squinting as well because the sun's right there.
Right, all right, yeah. Are you optimistic, like with the future? Obviously, you know, with you being knocked out, it always begs the question: is like a new breed of player coming through? You know, you just mentioned some of the players that are retiring there. Are you optimistic?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think we've come. You know, football and I say football, but I mean, I'm a big believer. Football is very cyclical, so everything works in cycles. Do you know what I mean? And the players we've got coming through, you know, I mean, Donnarumma's going to be there for another 15 years. You know, we've got the best keeper in the world there, in my opinion. You know, I mean, we had Chiesa's going to be there for a long time. Berardi, Raspadori coming through. the mid. I think Verratti and Barella are going to be there. Jorginho's obviously getting on a bit, but he'll still be there for the next couple of tournaments. So there's got to be that transition period as well for people coming through. So yeah, we don't need to edit that out. We ain't cutting shit today, so it's all going in one hit. But no. Well, I thought we'd move on to we'll touch on England as well, seeing as you're here, and obviously England are playing Switzerland in the friendly. So whenever this gets released, it'll probably be next week sometime. We the result would already happened. I mean,
that shows we don't know the England result right now, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say that England are going to win. And Italy are clearly a better team than England. So, and I know it's a one-off game, but that's exactly why I can't understand how Italy have not managed to qualify from this tournament. For this tournament.
I think it
is the deciding game, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean it was twice. I mean you won all, and you've been the better side for both games, and you get a penalty in the last 5 minutes, and you miss a penalty. It happens once, but it happens twice. It's a bit more.
Yeah.
And I think we've got to look into it a bit more. And I think maybe Jorginho doesn't take the second one as mad as it is, but.
So what is it that makes? Because again, we don't know England are going to win, but I'll be very surprised. Look, you can bring up the result after the fact and prove me wrong.
Yeah.
But what makes Italy a tournament-winning team, yet England can't seem to put one together?
One word: mentality. And it's embedded in the culture through years and years of playing. So Italy could have a really weak team and still get really far. They got to the final in 2014, which wasn't a great team, and they got smashed by Spain in the final. They get deep. Italy and Germany are two countries where they don't need to have great teams, but they'll be there or thereabouts.
Kind of like Liverpool in the Champions League.
Yeah, it's just embedded within the I want to say culture, but it's more than culture. It's embedded within the country, through the team, through years, through generations. It's not a one-off. You can see, you've seen weak Italy and Germany teams get really far. I remember the 2002 World Cup when Germany got to the final. Brazil, Germany were wank. They're one of the worst teams, but they got to the final. I mean, they got beat in the final, but they literally they still get there. They've got a way. They've got a belief within themselves. They know they don't have to play well. It's just tournament teams that know how to play when those really tight moments. And I think England last couple of tournaments, they're not playing great, but Southgate's playing in a fashion that he's not going with the media. He's going with a team that he thinks will go on and really affect the game in a positive manner. It might not be pretty, but they'll get through. Understanding how to win on penalties. Do you know what I mean? It's not luck. It's like you got to. Sometimes you're in a game and you think we've got to play for penalties because that's our best chance of going through. It's not negative. Whenever you play a game of football, and especially knockout, it's what is the best. What do we need to do to give ourselves the greatest chance of qualifying to the next round? And if it means playing shit, means just being really negative, sitting out a game, getting to the fight, getting to the penalty shot, that's fine. Do you know what I mean? So it's managing those moments.
Do you think he's got us any closer? Like obviously the mentality side of things, we've had a little bit more experience, but do you think he's got any kind of tactical nous that will enable us? Like, because obviously, you've got courage, you've got experience and all that, but at the end of the day, you've got no tactical ability, which Gareth Southgate's not exactly known for. Yeah. Do you think he's got us any closer? Do you think we'll do anything?
I think England will go far. Again, when I say far, I think probably quarters, maybe semis. But I think obviously you bring South American teams, and when I say quarters, they've had an unbelievably good draw the last two major tournaments. Yeah. The twice they played two proper teams in Croatia and Italy. They've got beat. So that question marks hangs over them. So you can in isolation you can look semi-final and the final. Yeah. Brilliant, it was progress, but. The circumstances are.
I wouldn't have expected anything less.
Do you know what I mean?
Both,
so yeah. So you've had you're beating Sweden, and it's like yes, brilliant, beating them, yes, brilliant. So you've got to look into with take the emotion out of it and look at it with a cold sort of like a day and see where it is. And I just think England. I think Argentina are going to do well. There's just the fact they won the Copa America, and I think there's a better balance to them. I'm probably just jumping the gun here, but I just think they're the team, and I think Spain are coming, and I just think England are a distance away from those top teams. See, England have got some brilliant players, but I just think managing it and cajoling it into the right team. I mean, he's not. There's players that he just has too much faith in, and there's players he doesn't have enough faith in. So the obvious example is Trent. I think most people would say he's the best right back in the world, but he doesn't see it. He's got players like Harry Maguire who's playing, and that's fine. Do you know what I mean? And that's probably another conversation. But and I'd ask you that. I'd say, Would you say someone like Harry Maguire deserves to be picked for England just purely on his international form? Because obviously his club form has been absolutely shit.
I would still pick him. I would still pick him in the squad. I don't think you can totally annihilate a player. Sometimes, you need to stand by a player, and I think that's effectively what he feels he has to do with Harry Maguire. Looks like he obviously didn't stick with Rashford. Rashford's not in the squad, is he?
No, he's not. No. So and Sancho, I think Sancho's in it as well. So he's.
Yeah.
But I think he's rested Walker as opposed to because Walker's obviously by the side. I think Walker's his number one at right back, isn't he?
So yeah, I would definitely have Harry Maguire in the squad because it's not a case of he's not going to be in future squads. I think it's almost a cert that he's going to go to the World Cup, so you've kind of got to have him there. But would I start him? Absolutely not. I think Ben White over him, that's just one name that I can think of.
There's Mark Gay, I think John Stones. John Stones obviously playing now, but Ruben Dias isn't there.
I would have John Stones as probably our number one centre back. He obviously plays at Man City. They're not defending for most of the game, but I like how he plays. I definitely think he's levels above Harry Maguire.
Yeah. I mean, if we're sort of looking at, we know the regulars that he picks, so we can guess what his 11 will be. There might be, we can guess at 9 of his 11, I'd say. Mm-hmm. I mean, out of the team that got to the final of the Euros, are there any sort of standout players that you think deserve to be in, and some that don't deserve to be in and need to be sort of exit stage left, so to speak?
Yeah. I'm just trying to think. Obviously, Calvin Phillips hasn't played much football, so can't really comment on him. Declan Rice seems to just continue to impress.
The one I'm thinking about is the keeper.
Yeah, Ramsdale's done well. Ramsdale, I think he's been pushing for number one. Is there any outstanding candidates?
So that's the one I'm thinking. I think Ramsdale deserves to be playing for England's number one pick, and that's probably leads on. It carries on from my last point of there's favourites that he picks, and he just seems to trust them too much.
Yeah.
So we've got Maguire's one, Pickford's another one.
But isn't it the same with all England managers that do have the favourites?
I know, I get that, and I'm a big believer of this as well. I think there are certain players that play really well for international teams, but poor for club teams, and that's just been the same across history. So managers have got to make that decision. Mm-hmm. So you can't ever just say I'm only going to pick players purely in club form, because once you do that, you put yourself in a place where it's really hard to get out of. So you've got, I mean, there's space for it, there's room for it, but you've just got to be open around it. But I think someone like, I think Pickford for me, no. I think Maguire, I understand why he plays him, and I can see him starting as well, because he's played well for England at international level. Yeah. And that's partly because England do play, especially against the bigger teams, they do defend quite deep. And defending deep, I think, is fine. Maguire's issues, obviously, when his team that he's playing for plays high, they're spacing behind, and it's almost like everything else that has not been done throughout his career of looking at, he just seems to panic. You know what I mean? And he's just like he'll give the ball in stupid areas. He'll drive into bad areas.
But he is a different player. He is a different player from England to Manchester United, like you say.
I think Man United is. I think there's a lot of players at Man United who will be quite poor as well. So you've got to. I mean, obviously Rashford and Sancho. Well, Rashford's obviously not been picked. So I think you've got to take it. There's a lot of factors that international managers that were taking place, and I can understand why Southgate, like you obviously don't think Maguire should start. I think he probably should start again, but then it's dependent on formation. Like there's players there that I don't think should be like there's two players I think are worse than Maguire, and they're Conor Cody and Tyrone Mings. I don't think either of them two should be in the thing. And the one that I absolutely do think should be in there, and I don't understand, and you talk about favourites, and he just fucking blows me, and it actually pissed me off, was Fikayo Tomori, was at AC Milan. AC Milan, the top of the league, is one of the best defenders in that league. How he doesn't get picked for England in this game, I don't get it.
Yeah, they're saying that
Tammy Abraham's another one. I mean, is he in the squad? I don't even know if he's in the squad.
That's because of playing abroad. I don't
that
know
doesn't make no sense. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, but going back to the Harry Maguire, if you ask me if he should start in our friendly tomorrow, absolutely not. It should be someone like Ben White, like I said, given a chance. But if you're saying start the tournament, right now I would say Harry Maguire's and John Stones, they're the number ones at the moment. Just because I feel like Harry Maguire has more trust in his midfield in front of him in England. So that's another question. It's just a random question I thought of. Who's a better team, England or Man United?
England by a distance. Yeah, I mean England by a distance. I'm not even gonna. You don't even know where to start in Man United. The Man United are a mess. So let's not talk about Man United. But I think England play slightly different I mean, I don't even know where Man United play, so it's kind of irrelevant.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
but England play. At least you understand. You know, you've got an idea of England are going to play. They know they're going to play knockout stages of football. They can go from 3 to 4 at the back. There's differences, and there's obviously better quality as well. There's a better balance, which is probably the word I'm looking for.
Bit of a defensive shape as well, isn't it?
Yeah, they've got out of possession. They're a lot better. The teams or players obviously work a lot better. They just got better players, man. I mean, you look at the midfield that start. You know, you can start anywhere you want. There's a better position in here. There's a better player in every single position. You know.
Is there lastly? Do you think there's anyone that's pushing for the England team that's not necessarily there? Obviously, you spoke on Tomori.
Fikayo Tomori and Tammy Abraham. The issue with Abraham is obviously Harry Kane's fit. He plays captain. Tomori, I had no idea why he's not playing that. I'm so glad Tariq Mitchell's picked because he's impressed me massively this season. And I think with Chilwell out and Shaw's poor form, he would be my first choice left back. But knowing Southgate end up putting fucking Trippier at left back, he's just like, he'll just be So I mean, I think Tariq Mitchell. I think Matt Gay's a good player coming in. But Fikayo Tomori, man, he's playing in one of the best leagues in the world. The team's top of the league. He's been brilliant. Maldini rates him highly. If Maldini rates him, mate, Southgate, get yourself in the bin. Just go with Maldini, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Milan play out from the back all the time as well, and he's playing against proper strikers as well. And I just don't think it's that bit about out of sight, out of mind. But I'm not buying it. I mean, them two should be in the England squad. I mean, Tammy Abrams just broke the record. I think he scored more goals in his. I think he's got more quicker to 20 goals than some like Francesco Totti and Batshuayi. I'm not sure if it was incorrect. So if it's wrong, lads, let me know at the bottom. But he has broken the record recently in the quick. You know how quick he's got the goals and stuff. So he deserves to be there. And at the moment, I mean, if you're going to go Kane, there's Calvert-Lewin's been shit this season, but I think he's one of his favourites. I mean, he's ahead of him. Ivan Toney, I'm not having. You can, you can't. I'm not really fussed either way. I think Jack Grealish is an interesting one because I think. He obviously shows that Man City Sterling's still ahead of him, and I think we can sort of say, well, we can see why Southgate went with Sterling ahead of him because it gives a bit more.
He's been playing well recently, though.
Yeah, last couple of games, but obviously you got to sort of think more longevity and stuff. So yeah.
Just in closing, thinking of like shock emissions, obviously Gaza back in the day, and this one might not be so much of a shock, but right now, can you see Marcus Rashford going to the World Cup?
I can because. There's obviously going to be a new manager in the summer. He'll still have 2 months of being able to play. A new manager might get a tune out of him, and he's playing class. So there could still be changes from now to there. But I'd imagine if you ask Southgate now, he'll know 20 of his players that he's going through. There's probably about 3 or 4 spaces that are up for grabs. I can see it. I can see it going through.
Cool. Right, well, as we always say at this time of the podcast, if you watched it so far, then obviously give us a like, comment, subscribe, and as we finish, Ty's going to give you a question of the day. Yeah,
so the question of the day is obviously the one that I asked Chris at the start was, would you rather your country win a major championship and then miss out on the next major championship, or would you rather your team just took part in every major championship? So comments like below, and obviously, as we always say, anyone who puts a comment, we will respond to and we'll get back to you. And we're going to wrap it up there. So this is the first time, we'll try not to do it last time, so we'll just give you a quick spin of where we are, and we're off to watch the England game in a bit. So
see you later, guys.
Adios.